Welcome to another Business Spotlight, where we share insights, reflections, and pearls of wisdom from local business owners in the Cheshire and Manchester area. My name is Kerry James. I'm a business coach and facilitator, and I'm delighted to welcome to this Business Spotlight MD of Brand Harmonics, Mr. Steve Millard. Good afternoon to you, Steve, and welcome to Business Spotlight.
Hi, Kerry. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. So, Brand Harmonics, please tell us, how long have you been in business? And what do you specialize in, please?
Right, so Brand Harmonics has been going since 2005, which, if my maths is correct, is about 18 years, roughly. So initially what we started out doing was graphic design, all sorts of brand design, creative services and advertising and so on. Then we kind of got started to be asked to do the printing as well, obviously because we can make sure it's done properly on behalf of the clients. So we kind of added that to the service, and then people would say, thanks for designing this logo, can you put it onto a pen or a mug or something like that? So we kind of added branded promotional merch on as a kind of a bolt-on to the business as well. So primarily, yeah, it's really just creative and promotional services. Putting brands in heads and hands is kind of how we pitch it to our clients.
Got you. So what might be a typical or ideal client for you, Steve, whether it's size or culture or industry sector or product versus service? What might be a great client for you?
Yeah, so that's always a tricky one because I like a bit of variety. So we've done quite a broad scope of work for a variety of different sectors and different types of organizations. So for example, the first kind of big job we got was for a local authority. They wanted a visitor center project with all sorts of display graphics and interactive displays and so on, educating people about climate change and environmental issues and so on. So that was in the public sector. But we've also done work for publishers and event companies. We've done work for a nursing home, for charities, for a property letting agent. And we've also done work for, we're getting a bit of a niche in the drinks industry. So we've done quite a lot of brand and promotional work for an alcohol-free drinks brand. We've also created a brand from scratch in packaging and advertising and social media for a fruit puree brand. So it's really is quite a mix there.
Okay, so we're about in the middle of 2023. It's been an interesting few years for many businesses, Steve. You mentioned environmental trends there. If we think about the broader business environmental trends, whether that's interest rates or lockdown or inflation or kind of the digital revolution or changing consumer behavior or hybrid working, how have all those things affected your industry and your business in particular, would you say?
That's quite a broad question there. In terms of what I do, I suppose the branded promotional side of things, obviously with lockdown and so on, with a lot of home working, it's difficult to nail down people in the office. Obviously I think people are returning more to the offices now, but it was difficult to find who, send stuff. You want to do a mail out, direct mail and so on, sending that to an office address. Quite often it's not going to land, it's not going to get there because they're working from home or whatever. So there's that kind of how we look at how we actually communicate with the people we need to communicate with, the kind of items that we send out and where to send them. So quite often onboarding packs on the branded merch side of things, they're quite popular. So I need to try and find the HR person. So LinkedIn, I suppose, is the right place to go to connect with these people, and then to reach that target audience via them would be kind of indirectly, I suppose, rather than trying to reach people directly to their desks. That's a bit of a waffly answer. That's kind of,
Has there been a run on any particular types of products that you've used to get the brands into people's hands as you describe it?
Not particularly. What we kind of have this, I'm on a mission to kind of, I suppose, encourage customers to think about what they're going to give out and use as branded products and promotional merchandise, and ideally what we try and encourage them to go for is something that's useful and or keepable and ideally sustainable, because very often it's very tempting to put your logo on the cheapest item out there. But then if that's not going to get used, if it's going to wind up in the bin or a drawer or something, then it's not going to achieve the purpose for which you were hoping it would achieve. So although sometimes price can be a bit of an issue, at least if you choose something that is actually people are going to use and keep, that it will stay on the desk, then I would encourage them to go for that rather than just some novelty thing or the cheapest item out there.
And what about the impact of Brexit or where you source your products from? Has there been much change in that side of things, Steve?
A little bit, yeah. Supply issues, and with COVID as well. There were supply issues for quite a while. There was a knock-on effect there. Pricing across the board, inevitably, with printing and all sorts of things, has gone up. But we still, the orders are still coming in. Companies still recognise the importance of marketing, and hopefully, in most cases, have a budget to support that. With the design and the branding side of things, that's probably less impacted in that sense. It's just on the design side, what we kind of try and do is people have this, or companies and organizations have this kind of task, if you like, this mission to connect with their target audience. So they can be great at what they do and they have a great product, but they don't always know how to articulate that in a way that will resonate and engage with their target audience. So that's where we come in, and we've not worked for overseas. One of the things I've been looking for recently is maybe overseas customers who have that kind of need to translate, if you like, their product and service into the local cultural language, the local touch points, within a country. So we worked with, we pitched to a Spanish brand a year or so ago, and they sent us their information, which they use in Spain, but obviously doesn't necessarily translate directly, culturally or linguistically over here. So we help kind of to customers to kind of make that transition to the local culture and country.
Okay. And what about the challenges that you've got in relation to your business now then, Steve? What might be kind of top of that list?
For my business personally?
Yes. Yeah, in terms of where you are now, where you're trying to get to, what the main challenges are.
I think my main challenge at the moment is essentially, we're a very small company, so I'm looking at options as to how to expand. How do we grow? Do we grow numerically in-house, or do we just maybe aim for a more niche target audience, to identify sort of more kind of profitable sectors, if you like? So yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking at the moment. How do I work smarter, if you like, which a lot of companies need to look at.
And what about your aspirations for the business end? Do you still need to, do you think, make some decisions on that, or do you have a clear vision as to where you'd like Brand Harmonics to be in say 5 years' time?
Not 100% clear vision. I've got kind of probably a clearer vision of how I don't want it to go, in terms of, I don't want to get huge in terms of the number of staff and so on. Want to keep it manageable. Looking at kind of sort of collaborations, if you like, alliances with companies that I work with anyway, and maybe just kind of formalizing that and making it more kind of a formal legal organization, to kind of get that support really, and because as a very small company, sometimes it can be hard to kind of to work in isolation. You need maybe kind of a bit of outside influence or input, and vice versa, so you can kind of grow that way and strengthen each other.
Okay. And what about the key lessons that you've learned as a business owner? Well, what advice might you give your younger self if you were starting today again, Steve?
Be more confident. I suppose, particularly, I mean, in my background, I come from a creative background, so I was great at doing the work in the first instance. I could do once the work comes in, I can do all the creative arty stuff. but actually going out there and getting the business and having confidence in convincing people that can do the work, and to be more, I suppose, more persistent in getting out there and do the sales. I think it's, it seems to be a thing where more creative people are perhaps not so great at the business side of things, because the way their brains are wired, they just kind of don't seem to be quite so focused and go get them in that kind of salesy kind of way. So yeah, I suppose it would be more a case of take the business side of things seriously as well as the creative side, and have the confidence to put that across, which you learn over time. Obviously, as you get older, you get a bit more confidence. And
yeah, I mean, it raises the interesting, one of the models we use, it kind of comes from Chinese leadership philosophy, but it's the link between trusting yourself, honesty, authenticity, resilience, patience, persistence, and that's what creates results. And it's only once you get those results that your confidence builds. So I guess digging a little bit deeper there, Steve, how might you have built your confidence up more quickly? Any reflections on that?
I think it's, well, knowing what I know now, is kind of, I suppose, just have someone who can encourage you to stand up and actually kind of, make to speak in public. Over the years, I've done networking events and so on. I've joined networking groups. I've pitched to clients, and you do kind of get more confident to field those difficult questions, or to kind of make impromptu observations and so on. And it just comes with time. So it really is just a matter of, I suppose, of maturity, unless you're one of those young people who are really confident, which I wasn't. But yeah, I think someone definitely to kind of get alongside, encourage you, give you some feedback. So it's like, okay, yeah, maybe change this, maybe change that, but just kind of still have that kind of like positive of you're on the right track.
What about confidence in Brand Harmonics? I'm guessing you have many potential competitors, but how do you like to stand out from that competition, would you say, Steve?
It is kind of a little bit horses for courses. It seems to me at the moment that there's a lot of kind of small one-man band type operators, which have their place, and then you have the larger agencies. I'm not sure there's kind of too many in between. I think there seems to be a bit of a polarization going on. For me, yeah, I'm kind of down at the smaller end, and so I suppose the challenge is just, well, the challenge has always been being in the right place at the right time, knowing when someone has a need for something, and then being aware of you. So it's just, I mean, what I used to position myself as was kind of a bit of an all singing, all dancing kind of thing, jack of all trades with the design. We do design, we do print, we do this, we do that, which we still do to an extent, but try and focus on the design side, and then the branded stuff, like two halves, just kind of polarize it between those two. Anything else is a bonus. But what we can offer is that kind of convenience of we've been here for a long time, so we know what we're doing. A lot of people come out of education and college and so on. Well, as was the case for myself, we're never really taught the practical side of the industry. We're taught the creative side, but not the creative side of how you're actually going to apply that creativity in terms of how will it work in print, how will it work online on screen, there's lots of kind of different permutations of it. So can offer that experience of having worked in the print industry, having worked in the design industry, I know how to make a logo or a particular piece of branded communication work in the different formats and on the different platforms, whereas a lot of the sort of what I suppose digital designers perhaps would look more at the online without thinking of or being aware of how that would work in print. So yeah, I suppose a bit more kind of broader in terms of experience.
Got you. Okay. Well, it's been great to hear your story. Thanks very much, Steve. One final question, if I may. I'm sure there'll be some startup business owners watching this. We certainly get startup business owners watching Business Spotlight. So if anybody's interested in picking up the conversation or hearing a little bit more about how you operate and how you work, what might be a sensible next step, would you say?
I would say, yeah, just give us a bell, or drop us an email at Brand Harmonics, brandharmonics.co.uk. Talk about what the scope of what your thoughts are, what kind of project you're looking at, and how we can make your brand sing. Hence the name Brand Harmonics.
How can we make your brand sing? Of course, and in the hearts and heads and in the voices then of the customers.
Yeah, we called it Brand Harmonics just because that kind of seemed to sum up what we do for brands, kind of make them harmonize in the different types of marketing promotions. So someone asked me, do you do music? It's like, well, no, but we can make your brand sing.
Yes, there's all sorts
line with one.
Musical analogies there with resonance, etc., isn't there? Very good. Excellent. All right, and Steve, well, thanks ever so much again for sharing your story and for your time, and all the very best with Brand Harmonics.
Likewise, thanks very much. Cheers, Gary.